Okay friends, welcome. Now in this video I'm going to send a prompt to the API, to the OpenAI API, and I'm going to get back and store that what we get back, the messages in the chat database, and then display it here or here. For that you need to go to get the API keys. You need to go to the openai.com and log in or register, and then navigate to the platform.openai.com/account/API-keys, and you can create a new secret key and copy and paste that on the .env file. Today's video is brought to you by Cloudways, a managed cloud hosting platform for PHP-based applications. So we have WordPress, Magento, Laravel, and PHP. Cloudways takes over all server management and security hassles to let you solely focus on your business. Their custom stack provides performance boost, managed backups that keep your app safe, and a staging environment that lets you test code without breaking live sites. Plus, pre-configured Composer and integrated GI make deployments a breeze, and you get a choice between 5 top cloud providers including DigitalOcean, Vultr, Linode, WSL, and GCI. With Cloudways, you not only get flexibility, but peace of mind. So if you are an agency or an e-commerce store owner, Cloudways is a great fit for all your managed hosting requirements. Don't forget to use promo code link in description. Okay, now let's start and work with this. The first thing I'm going to add here is I'm going to add an SVG. Let's open the VS Code and let's open here the chat index. Okay, and here we have the input. After the input, I'm going to say add a div with, let's say, class absolute, and I'm going to say inset to be y0, right is going to be 0, it's going to be flex, and also I'm going to say items is going to be on center, and I think let's say also padding left of 3, and that's it. Now inside of this div I'm going to add an SVG, and you can find the SVG on the hero icon. So if I search for heroicons.com, and I'm going to use this one, paper airplane. So let's copy this and let's navigate here and paste that in. Now let's save that and let's see on the browser how it's going to look. Yeah, we have something like this. So for that, let's navigate here, and on here when we have a class, let's change this. So I think yeah, it's okay. So let's just add here minus margin left of 8, and the text is going to be slate 200. And now let's save this and let's see what we have. Yeah, something like this. Okay, now I think we are okay. The first thing I'm going to do here is scroll up and import the use form from inertia. So let's say import use form from the inertia, and then let's create a constant here, constant to be form, and I'm going to assign that with the use form, and here is going to be an object with just, I'm going to name it prompt. Initially is going to be an empty string, and that form prompt now I'm going to pass to this input. So let's say here the model to be able with form.prompt. Okay, Then let's create a method constant. I'm going to say submit, which is going to be equal with an arrow function. And here I'm just going to say form, for now just form.post, and the URL is going to be /chat, and we need to create that one. And what I'm going to do now, when we hit enter on this input, so let's add here also on key up, I'm going to call the submit button key up and add the enter event, the enter key on key up.enter. We are going to call this submit. Okay, now let's open the terminal, and first here I'm going to create a controller. So let's say artisan make controller, hit enter, and let's give it a name Chat GPT store controller. Hit enter, and it's going to be invocable, so let's select true. Okay, let's close now. And let's open that controller. So chat also, first let's open the web routes and register the route for the store. So here I'm going to say route post /chat, and we are going to use that controller we created, chat store controller class. Okay, and let's give it also the name. I'm going to name it chat store, and let's save and let's close. And now let's open that chat store controller, ChatGPT store. Okay, let's create also the request. So artisan make a request, and I'm going to name it store chat request, or chat, yeah, store chat request. Hit enter, and let's close, and let's open now that chat request. Okay, here it is. Change that to be true, and the one thing we need here is just that prompt. So let's say here prompt is going to be required, and also is going to be string, and let's save that, close, and let's use now that request here. So store chat request, and let's remove the default request here. Okay, the first thing in this invoke method, I'm going to create a messages variable and assign with an empty array. Then I'm going to say $assign messages array is going to be a role, an array with a role, and the role is going to be user in this case because I want to send, and then we're going to get back, we are going to change that to be assistant, but for now it's going to be role user. And you can go and find more on the API documentation here. Go to the chat completion, and here you can see we need that the model and messages, which is going to be here. We have the role system, in this case role user, and the content, which is going to be the prompt, or if we are the assistant, is going to be what we are going to get back from the API. Let's zoom it also for you, just to see you here. And this is what we get back. So the ID object, created model uses and choices. And here we have a message with a role and the content, what we get back. Okay. So right now I want to say role user, and the content is going to be the request, input, and the name of input is prompt. And for now, what I'm going to do, just say die and dump first, die and dump the messages to see what we get here right now. Let's save and let's open the project, refresh. And if I type something here, hit enter, yeah, we have die and dump an array with content good. Now let's go back. So we get the prompt. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to say $sign response, which is going to be equal with OpenAI from the OpenAI Laravel facades. Say chat here, and we need to create a new chat. So add an array with that what we saw earlier here. So we need to send the model and the messages. So let's say the model is going to be GPT 3.5, so GPT-3.5-turbo. Okay, the same we have here. And the messages, now say messages is going to be equal with the messages we have right now. Then after we send that, I'm going to assign the messages array with, I'm going to add now what we get from here. So as we can see, we get back this response, something similar, and I want the messages here, to access the messages and the role and the content. So the messages now is going to be equal with an array, and the role is going to be assistant. Now the content is going to be the response, not request, but response choices. Okay, so what we got here, choices. Then I'm going to get the first one, because maybe we have more than one array. So let's select the first one. And here I'm going to get the message and the content I want. So message, and also change the content, and we are okay. Okay, for now, let's say just die and dump the messages, just to see what we get. So if we have a success response, we are going to add to these messages also the role, an array with role assistants and content, response choices, messages, content. So let's say die and dump, and let's try now here, refresh. And what I'm going to say what is Laravel. I'm going to ask what is Laravel, and let's wait for the die and dump. Yeah, we get two arrays. First one is the role is user, and the content is what is Laravel, what we asked. Then we get the role assistant and the content. Laravel is an open source PHP, so we have a success response. Very good. Now here we need to add that to the database, but for that we need also, so let's just open the web routes, and here maybe we have the ID, so we need also to add the ID in here, which is going to be optional as well, because maybe it's the first prompt we sent. And then if we have an ID, we need to change also something here. First, we need to accept that ID here. We need to say string $ID, and initially is going to be null, but if we have that ID, I'm going to say here if $ID, if we have the ID, first I'm going to get the chat from based on that ID. I'm going to say $chat to be equal with and call the chat model, and I'm going to use the find or fail $ID here. And if we have that chat, I'm going to say the messages now is going to be equal with $chat context. Okay. Now, if we don't have, the message is going to be just role user and content the prompt. But if we have, we are going to pass also that what we get from the chat here. Then down there, now we don't want, if we have the ID, we don't want to create a new chat. We want to update this chat here. For that, I'm going to use the update or create. So I'm going to say chat update or create here. And first we are going to add an array with ID. So if this ID is equal to the ID we have here, and also I'm going to use the user ID, which is going to be auth facade. Let's use the auth facade ID, and not like this. Now, if that is true, we are going to update. Otherwise, it's going to create a new chat. And let's say now context is going to be $messages. And let's assign this with a variable chat. And down there, I'm going to return redirect to the route, and route is going to be chat show, and I'm going to pass here the ID. So $, but an array with $chat ID like this, and I think we are okay. So now we redirect to the route chat show and we pass the ID, which means if I open the web routes, here now this ID is going to exist, and on the chat controller now we have an ID here. So let's say pass here the chat, and this chat I'm going to say function, and if we have that ID, if the ID is not null, I'm going to get that chat, so chat, and also I'm going to use the find or fail here. The ID, I'm going to return this chat. It's going to be what we get here. Otherwise, it's going to be null. So if we don't have the ID, it's going to be null. And also, for now, let's just say here, I'm going to return messages, which is going to be chat latest and where user ID. So let's use the where here. The user ID is auth ID also, and get. So now when we redirect, we are going to pass the chat and messages here. And let's save this. And now let's open the chat index and define a props. So right here, I'm going to say, or let's create a constant props to be equal with define props, and here we need to define the messages, which is going to be an array, and also the chat, which the chat is going to be either null or an object. And let's save for now, and let's see now here. If I refresh, and I think I removed that die dump, yeah. So we say chat update or create based on the ID, and the user ID is going to create or update the existing chat. And let's try one more time. So what is Laravel? And hit enter. Yeah, we sent the request, and now if I come here and refresh, we get that. So we have here, and just let me. So here's the context, role is user, and the content. First one is what is Laravel. Then we have another object here with role assistant, and the content is this one. Okay friends, so that's it about this video now. I hope you enjoy, and if you like, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video. All the best, and see you in the next one. Thank you very much.